Welcome to All Things Social Security. My name is Stephanie Joy of Joy Disability. I am a Social Security disability attorney, and I would like to invite you to watch our daily video tips on the Social Security disability and SSI claims process each day at the new time of noon Eastern Standard Time here on YouTube on this channel. And on Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have our live Q&A live stream. So you are welcome to join that as well. Ask your questions, get there on time, and you'll be one of the first answered. Thanks so much and have a great day. Enjoy the video. Good morning, afternoon, or evening. I'm just being the messenger here on a new report coming out of the Office of Inspector General of the Social Security Administration. This came out on July 18th, and I'm a little behind on reporting on these things due to other obligations, but it was very interesting. It was a review of data from year 2019 to year 2023, and it's about the DDS, Disability Determination Services productivity. And we all know from practical experience that it was not good. And so here is some generalities. In the header of this, and I try to remind me if I don't, I'll put the link in the comments below so you can read this if you want to. And I'm not going to give too much opinion about it because you can get that from every other mouth in the world, but just try to give you the straight facts here as presented by the Office of Inspector General. It states that there was a 21% productivity decrease and an 81% increase in processing times that coincided with the loss of key technical staff between 19 and 23. They said that the productivity is measured by the production per work year, which is the one that decreased by 21%, and averaging processing time, which increased by 81% from 121 days to 219 days. The lower productivity and increase in processing times did coincide with the loss of key technical staff, including disability examiners, who evaluate disability claims and make the disability determinations in accordance with the federal laws on that, the SSA laws, the regulations, the policies, and the procedures that are currently governing the SSA disability programs. So yeah, it's not awesome. It's funny though, I noticed that it did, so like the experienced examiners from 19 to 23 went down 11%, but it looks like that was 11%. But it looks like it's popped up somewhere in between, maybe not to the full amount in 2019, but it has gone up because in 2023, there were 5,594. And in 2024, it popped up to 6,072. So that's a plus there. For medical consultants, it was as low as 2,071 in 2023. From what had been 2,370 in 2019. So that was a 13% drop. In 2024, it went, unfortunately, even lower to 1,994. And by the way, the previous numbers I had given was experienced examiners, so not the newbies. And if I recall, I remember an article, it was in mainstream media, and it was, I think, a Dallas, Texas office where they had lost such a massive amount. I want to say either 1/3 or 2/3 of their DDS examiners due to some great resignation. So it was after 2020, but not much after. And it was just that whole, it's time for me to follow my dream. I don't need a job, I guess, and or the conditions were just so horrible. And then the last thing that they comment on is, and give numbers for, is hearing officers. In 2019, there were 415. By 2023, 293. And that drop all heard. I mean, there's going to be probably a significant drop when COVID hit. I have to say, I'm looking at the numbers, and that may be it's certainly a big drop. I'm looking across this chart here. And then but the drops continued in 21, 22, 23. So with the hearing officers, again, by 2023, they were down to 293 hearing officers. And by the way, those are the people that often, when you do a reconsideration appeal, you could have a formal or an informal. Formal means you actually meet up with the hearing officer. I don't know whether that's by phone or by in person. I suppose it can vary now, or maybe even it's on video. I'm not sure. Online, I should say. Anyway, that was a 29% drop between 19 and 23. And it did continue to drop into 2024 to 281. So the only area between 23 and 24 that finally improved, but certainly not up to anywhere close to what we had in 2019 was the experienced examiners. So they're still really underwater if we're going to look at compare 2019 as they're doing here. I always wish they would give us the 20 years. Give us a more robust figure. It says the lower productivity and the increase in processing times resulted in a 15% reduction in disability determinations from 2.2 to 1.9 million and a 96% increase in the number of pending determinations. It's like a doubling. That's really not good. So they give some more numbers. The average processing time in 2019, I think we said this before, was 121 days. It was up to 219 by 2023, and by 2024, it had increased to 238. Did just recently have an announcement. You guys might be seeing it very soon to the date I'm doing this one. This one is just going to come out in due time, probably in a week or so, because there's other things ahead of it and all that. I don't know where it's going to come out, if it'll be bumping anything else. But it does look like, thankfully, in 2025, relative to, say, summer of 2024, we're seeing a significant decrease in processing times. I think they said 25%. So granted, it's coming off of a bad bar, right? Because we know 24, 23, 22, bad. Okay, claims received. Interestingly, from 2019 to 2023, claims received decreased by 5%. And it looks like it decreased steadily the whole way to get to that 5%. It went from 2,280,000 and change to 2,130,000 and change. That would be 2020. 1,917 and change thousand, that is, in 2021. In 2022, it actually bumped up to a little above that from 2021 to 2,070,000 and change. And then in 2023, it bumped up further, still below 2019, higher claims received than in 2020 at 2,162,000 and change. So the total difference, nonetheless, between the 2019 and the 2023 rate remains 5% reduction. Now, do you look at that positively or negatively? Is it because less people became disabled? I think that's unlikely. I don't know what the reason is. Maybe because of stimulus, they didn't feel like they had to file. I know I've always heard from people from the time I started this kind of work, when some people waited a few years to file, and I'd say, it's term insurance. You got to be careful about that waiting. They would say, well, my husband was working and we were getting by. Like, there was this idea that you shouldn't file, even though you worked for it your whole life and you bought that insurance. It's like, to me, it's like not filing an automobile property damage claim when someone hit your car because you're not broke and you could feasibly pull it out of your bank account instead of filing a claim with the insurance that you paid for. It's weird to me, but that's what people think about it, because I think they've been taught it's like welfare. It's not welfare. SSI is welfare. Social Security Disability is not welfare. You bought it. You worked for it for decades. So don't be shy about collecting it. Okay, moving on. But a lot of times that is, to this day, still often the case. And I chastise about it. Between 2023 and 2024, however, the number of claims received did jump up from that 2,162,000 and change I mentioned to 2,294,000 and change. So it is now in 2024, well, it was in 2024, slightly above what it was in 2019. And I guess I would expect that. We're not a very healthy population. Western civilization didn't do us well for that. Modern medicine has its woes as well. So the disability determinations that were cleared between 2019 and 2023 dropped 15%. I think that was mentioned before. It has now gone up a little bit it's still less than what it was in 2019, but a little above what it was at the end of 2020. So that's arguably good. And then the pendings, this is the part that got really bad. Between 2019 and 2023, it nearly doubled at 96%. So there you go. It was a pretty bad period of time. No wonder why we were all complaining that something needed to be done. Let's see. It says this is just some more rhetoric. The full DDS, the rate DDS, full-time disability examiners separated each full year, I think that means full year, measured as attrition rate ranged from 13 to 25%. That's that great resignation I was telling you about. Not everyone who leaves is doing the great resignation to go follow their dream, but because many of them Many of them are retiring. A lot of people, when they're about to have a pension, they're like, why? I don't need to. I do want to go do other things. So they put out their time. I see this all the time in every field. I see it in state, I see it in military, I see it with companies. When people are like, yeah, I could keep working, but I'll have income coming in. And there's other things I've been delaying because I work full time. We all delay some of our hobbies. So I don't consider that to be the Great Resignation. The Great Resignation was people who were going to have to get other jobs. Maybe they didn't think they were going to have to. Stimulus. Some people were a little money ignorant on what that's going to do for you and for how long and how it's going to be recouped. Yeah, that inflation. But attrition does happen anyway. It's people moving. It's people, could be women stopping to have babies and stay home for a few years. It could be the men being the fathers of those babies and the mothers staying at work, but the father staying home to raise those babies. There are reasons other than there are parts of a resignation, that can be not so much the following the dream, but that was the part that added these great numbers. That would be more than we would normally see, apparently. So let's see what else they say. The overall average attrition rate for total DDS staff during this time, that would be 19 to 23, was 13%. The complexity, this is an important part. The complexity of the disability examiner position makes losing experienced staff detrimental to a DDS as it results in a significant loss of institutional knowledge. Yeah, I could definitely see that. Who's going to be training the newbies? You need to have experienced, well-functioning senior people in there, or you get what you pay for. They go on to say that when the claimant meets the non-disability criteria to be eligible for Social Security or Supplemental Security Income Disability benefits, SSA forwards the claim to the DDS with jurisdiction to develop medical evidence and determine whether a claimant is disabled or blind under the law. We all know this, right? We started a field office. When they know that you are covered for SSD or you're poor enough for SSI, they will let your disability assertions be then moved to the medical office, the DDS, to work that up, to order the medical records to see if you can substantiate your claim. There are DDSs in each of the 50 states, the District of Columbia and Puerto Rico. DDSs are state-run, and the government provides funding through the SSA to support their operations. Therefore, DDS employees are not SSA employees. I've stated this numerous times in numerous videos, guys. They're not subject to being laid off by the federal government. The states provide DDSs with sufficient qualified personnel to ensure disability determinations are made accurately and promptly, while SSA provides the funding to cover DDS costs, including staff salaries, office expenses, and other operational expenses. The 10 states, they go on to say, with the highest average processing times for initial disability claims during the full year 1993, ranging from 189.8 days to 216.5 days include, we'll start at the top, this is the worst, Alaska. Delaware is second to worst. South Carolina, third to worst. Tennessee, fourth to worst. Georgia, fifth to worst. Maryland is up there. New Mexico, Nevada, Florida, and Illinois. So it's a mishmash of states, not in any kind of particular location, not a particular kind of affiliation. They all seem to be mixed. So it's interesting. It's interesting. They give a link to a full report. But anyway, that was what was going on between 19 and 2023. I really was looking for 24 to 25. We did have that one report, which was really great. Like, we might be seeing a light at the end of the tunnel finally, getting some seriousness in there to make things better. Very relieved about that. Very hopeful, but let's see what happens. We've been what's the expression? Wee on my leg and tell me it's raining, or don't shine a bright light in my face and tell me it's sunny, right? So we'll see what happens. But anyway, just wanted to get that out. Just the optics of really how bad it went between 19, which was pretty not so bad, and then 2023. Horror show. Okay, bye guys. Talk to you later.